I'm Becca, the Youth and Schools Worker at Carshalton Beaches Baptist Church. And I don't know about you, but when I've looked on the news and I've been talking to friends, a lot of people seem to be finding this a really anxious and worrying time. People are worried about the injustice that they've been seeing on the news. People are worried about what seeing friends and family might look like. People are worried about maybe the potential for a second spike. There's lots of people worrying about lots of different things. The world we live in is a really big place, and when we see stuff that is worrying or concerning, the big stuff, it can feel impossible. Life can feel really difficult. We don't know what to do. And I think a lot of us over the past few months have just been reminded how actually there's lots of things we don't have control over. And if I was to spend this video listing all the things that we could be worried about, well, we'd be here for ages. But don't worry, I'm not going to do that, because the Bible has so much to say about this topic of anxiety and worry. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your cares on him, because he cares about you." Philippians 4 verse 6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything." And Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know I am God." You see, the Bible tells us frequently, whether we look at the Old Testament or the New Testament, not to worry, not to be afraid. And the Bible isn't saying, oh, don't worry, it's not that big of a deal, the thing that you're facing, the situations that are going on. When we look in the Bible, there are so many situations that we're really worrying and we're really concerning. The reason the Bible tells us not to be afraid isn't because the things that we're going through are easy. Instead, the Bible tells us don't be afraid, because guess who's with you? God, who created the universe. God, who can calm a storm with a word. God, who's brought people back to life. God, that God, he's with us. When we're with someone who is powerful, who is strong, who is mighty, the situations we're facing feels a little bit less scary. Look, I'm not saying do not be afraid. It's as easy as that. Click your fingers, say, I don't need to be afraid, it'll be fine. I'm not saying it is as simple as that, because oftentimes it's not. But for me, when I feel really anxious and when I feel really worried, it does make a difference when I come to God in prayer. It does make a difference to be reminded that actually just for a moment, be still, put your worries to the side, and actually remember who God is. Remember how much God loves you. Remember what God has already done in your life. Remember the amazing stuff that we read about in the Bible. Remember how powerful God is. You see, the more we come to know who God is, the more that we are reminded of who he is, the less we maybe feel like we need to be anxious about the situations that are going on. The more we get a sense of peace, peace beyond understanding, the Bible calls it. Did you know in the Bible, in the Old Testament, every time it says, do not be afraid, God backs it up by saying, because I am with you. I think that's such a reminder that when we're called and when we're asked to not be afraid, it's because God is with us, not because the situation has changed necessarily. So this week, if things worry you, if things and life just get a little bit overwhelming, why not just spend some time in prayer? Why not come to God and say, help me know you more. Help me be reminded of how amazing you are and what you've already been doing in my life. Ask God to give you that sense of peace. When we do that, when things are done in that order, when situations come up, whether that's for us personally, for our friends and family, or the stuff that we see on the news, it seems less impossible. It seems less overwhelming, because we have got a God who can do impossible things. And actually, the best thing is we can join in with what he's already doing. That's all I've got time for this week, but thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you soon. Don't forget to leave a comment below if you've got ideas for future videos or topics that you'd like me to cover. Alright, bye!